Hey everybody, welcome into another edition of Make Every Second Count Live, the show where we try to help you deal with the things you are dealing with by showing you that each person goes through something in their life. Now, I know for personal experience that I was in a severe car accident. I nearly lost my life when I was 17 years old. I was hit by a semi and spent 2.5 months in a coma. But I happen to know that everybody goes through something in life. And if you haven't yet, just wait because it's coming, I promise. But tonight, I have to bring a very, very, very special guest to the stage. I am bringing to the stage none other than Patch Adams himself. Hello, Patch. Good to see you tonight.
It's a pleasure.
How are you doing?
Best day of my life.
That's
Oh,
good.
I'm in the delight of offering solutions to our horrible healthcare crisis.
I happen to agree the healthcare system definitely needs work.
Well, that's what I found out. I was born in 1945, grew up in a military family. The last 7 years of my father's life, to my age 16, we were in Germany. Then he died. We moved back to Virginia in 1961, and I was shocked by segregation. I could not believe hate for color. And I actually was kind of a weird nerd, dweeb, dork, sissy boy, and I didn't fit in anyway to the 60s culture in Virginia. And so I had 2 more years of high school. At 17, I flipped out. I had 3 mental hospitalizations, and then I was present at
Wow.
Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech, and I instantly changed forever and decided to never have another bad day, that I could make me in every moment. So I made me 6 qualities: happy, funny, loving, cooperative, creative, and thoughtful. And
That's
as I was
amazing.
trying to figure out what I wanted to do, I was a very good student, especially academically in sciences and math, and I loved caring for people, so I wanted to be a doctor. I went to George Washington undergraduate school and got in medical school at the Medical College of Virginia in 3 years and was there from 67 to 71. And I saw nothing good about healthcare in the United States. It was almost all males. The average visit with a doctor could be 6 or 7 minutes. It was very expensive. I now know that your medical bill is the number one reason you lose your home and 80% of bankruptcy. So, what the hell does the doctor think they've done for the patient?
Yeah.
Two, because I loved 18th and 19th century novels, that people were a lot more complicated than 6 or 7 minutes. So I decided in my last year of medical school to never charge money, and I never have since 1971. I've
Wow.
always been free, and that I love knowing a person. So I liked an initial interview of 3 to 4 hours, which I could do because I didn't charge any money.
3 to 4 hours?
That's right. People are complicated, and I wanted to know those complications.
Wow.
And I realized that however good allopathic medicine was, that I wanted to add chiropractic, acupuncture, homeopathy, naturopathy, etc. And that I got no real lectures in medical school on wellness, being well. And so I've been studying that in my own life and in literature ever since then. So when I graduated, I found 12 people. We moved into a 6 bedroom house. 3 of us were doctors, and everything was free. And we saw people 500 to 1,000 a month and had an absolute ball. I was already clowning. I've clowned longer than I've been a doctor, and it's so true to my spirit. So I say I'm a clown who is a doctor.
That's
And
awesome.
I also decided, because of my own journey, that I didn't believe in the psychiatric diagnoses or medication. So I've never given either of those two in all of my years in medicine. After 12 years and refusing publicity because I knew that to be a public figure could be a nightmare, I realized we didn't raise any money really in those 12 years. So I decided that I would go public and had a lot of newsprint from all over the world. And I had the Hollywood movie, Patch Adams with Robin Williams playing
Woo!
part. There were two other movies, Clown Vets, that came out a little later because 6,000 vets kill themselves a year, and I wanted to take care of them. So I went to vet organizations and got 10 very suicidal vets, took them for 1 week in Guatemala, and it stopped their suffering. And we did it again 2 years later with the same results with 10 other suicidal vets. And there was a war going on in Afghanistan, so a film was made called Clowning in Kabul, where we took clowns into the war in Afghanistan.
Wow. I didn't know about any of those movies. I
So
just knew about the Robin Williams movie.
right. And so I'm just going to give, so I did the 12 years of seeing patients and then went public and started lecturing and performing. And for 36 years, I lectured and performed 250 to 300 days a year to 84 countries in every state many times. I was doing it 250 to 300 days a year.
Wow.
I would lecture on what is your love strategy, living a life of joy, humor and health, etc., and also about our work at our hospital called Gesundheit. And all this really knockout publicity was making me work. And however, the movie promised to build us and gave me nothing and didn't answer my 5 letters. But 80% of the promises made me didn't happen either. I've never had a single moment of discouragement. I'm having fun. There are great people involved in the project. We own and owe no money 312 acres in Pocahontas County, West Virginia, with 2 waterfalls and a 4-acre lake and a mountain of hardwood trees. It's an absolute ecstatic, idyllic, utopian piece of land to build, and we want to build a 40-bed rural community hospital where 100 staff would live there as a communal eco-village, and everyone from the cleaning staff to the surgeon will make the same salary. And that's kind of my introduction, so you can feel free to ask any questions.
Hey, that is amazing, but I know the first thing that I heard the first thing that I asked you was about Robin Williams, about the movie, and can you tell everybody what it was like making a movie, and especially with Robin Williams?
Well, I think we loved each other. I lived in his home for 12 days. As I'm an extreme extrovert, he seemed more like an extreme introvert. You know, he couldn't go anywhere without people recognizing him, and it was a nightmare for him. And so I was his playmate, and I think he had a simple script, and did the best he could with it, and the movie has made several $100 million, and they didn't give us a dime.
Oh, that's too bad, Patch. I'm sorry to hear that. But I know it was a great movie. But I have to ask, what made you said you were in psychiatric hospitals. What made you have to go into those?
Well, it was very clear if you listen to me. When we moved from Germany to Virginia in 1961, I was shocked by segregation.
Yeah.
I could not believe hatred for color. And I still can't and fight it still. And so that was part of it. I also was kind of a weird nerd, dweeb, dork, sissy boy, and instead of the manly sports kind of person, I I was trying to find a place, and so it was difficult to find a place. I was in an all-white public school in Virginia, and yet in the neighborhood were a large number of black people. So I felt the wrongness every day and spoke up and got beaten up because of speaking up.
Yeah. That's crazy. I can't even imagine going through such a thing. So what happened when you were in the mental hospitals?
Well,
I mean,
doctors were boring.
boring.
I was more interested in the patients in the hospital and talking with them. I hated the medication that they gave me, the antidepressants. I've never given a psychiatric medicine to a patient, and so it was. I was learning to adapt to the American culture, which celebrates wealth and power.
Yeah. That's those are things that took a while for a lot of people to realize, and the fact that you got that at such a young age before you were trying to get involved in everything is pretty cool. And what like, all right, let's say you I know you told me you don't have bad days. So what is the number, say, give me three ways that you don't have bad days.
Hear me. I make me.
I
I
understand.
make me in every moment. Anyone can do it. We are not trained to do it. We are judged from the moment we're born and put in schools with a lot of rules and those kinds of things. So I am a nerd. I did a huge amount of reading. My library is 40,000 books.
Wow.
And there's no John Grisham or Danielle Steele. It's great literature. I know 4 hours of poetry by heart. And in seeing this great literature and hearing the situation, I had a great mom. My father was not really involved in my life. He fought in World War II, and Korea really destroyed his soul, and then he died. And my mom was just a totally loving human being. So I became a loving human being. And I also found that humor was a great device for enjoying however strange life was out there. I could interpret it as funny. And so it made me into a funny, loving person.
All right. So I understand that you make yourself and you decided to be happy. But let's say there's somebody out there besides you that's having a bad day, that's having a bad month, or even a bad year.
Or a bad life.
Yeah, how exactly could you
Oh,
give them input to change their ways?
Well, they have to, one, want to change their ways. If they think that's who they are, they go to a psychiatrist and the psychiatrist says that's the way you are. And, we don't have, I've never found one school, K through 12 in the world, teaching 1 hour of loving or play and goofiness. And so, you know, our society is raised on television. We don't have a television. We have ourselves and intelligence, and as soon as you want a different world and a world of hate and low self-esteem, then you use your brain, because one option is to have a brain and use it to figure out who you are going to be and be that, and understand the problems of the world and work to change them.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I know that creativity is a big part of your practice and everything you preach. So, how exactly does creativity help someone that is having the rough time in life?
Well, the answer to that really, Jeff, is duh. Creativity itself is a joy. So you can create a specific human being, which is what I did with those 6 qualities: happy, funny, loving, cooperative, creative, and thoughtful. You can also decide to make friends. And if one decides to use their intelligence and they add intelligence to everything that they're looking to discover, then they discover wonderful things. How to connect with people, not to be a dominant person, but to be an egalitarian person, for example.
All right, you have to clarify that word for me because I don't know that one.
Yes, egalitarian means equal.
Okay, I
equal.
I figured, but I didn't know. So I want to take a second here and tell you about a virtual event that my friends are having with Brenda Ringwood, Anthony Russo, Terrence Leftridge, Maud Miller, and myself, but also the one, the only Patch Adams. So I am really looking forward to this event. It'll be this Thursday. You can register and attend live or watch the replays anytime you want by going to comechangeyourlife.com.
I,
Again,
let
that
me
is,
tell you, I've chosen never to learn how to use a computer or a smartphone, and I will not learn how to use them.
yeah,
And I'm wondering if this event, I've been a free doctor for over 50 years, and I'm trying to build a free, funny, playful, absurd hospital in West Virginia. And so I need a donation to our hospital to come to this event.
all right.
I don't know if you're planning to give a donation for this conversation, but I because ever since COVID, before COVID, I was making $1 million a year lecturing and performing. I would charge 5 to 20 grand a day, and it helped get us a long way and not owe any money in West Virginia. So I have to ask you that I appreciate that you want to use me for things, but there needs to be a generosity towards our hospital.
Yes, I understand. And I am very happy to support your hospital in any way I can. All right. So I have to ask now, Patch, do you have any other suggestions for anybody else that is having an issue?
Well, the thing I have to recommend is what's called intelligence. The average American watches 5 hours of TV a day, so that really dumbs them down. Intelligence is we have a magnificent large brain.
Yeah.
And if we study things, we can use the things we study to help us. I mean, for example, I like to say, if you have food and a friend, what are you bitching about?
Yeah.
And I mean that. If you can eat and you've got friends, the rest of life is a luxury. That I think some of the worst decisions that we made were nuclear family. We are tribal animals. Nuclear family puts billionaires in gigantic houses for 2 people instead of for 25 people.
Yeah.
And that we are not acting as if we have any intelligence, the way we are polluting our environment, the way we're cutting down our trees. We breathe oxygen, trees breathe CO2. So we are a pair. Vegetation and animals are a pair, and yet humans act like they're God Almighty.
Yeah.
And we're just one of the animals. Our extinction means no more than the extinction of the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Wow. Except for we look for the Tyrannosaurus Rex. We look for its fossils.
Yes, because we can probably collect money for it.
Yeah. That
Most people do not look for fossils. People are much more interested in ball scores. It's so funny with sports, it's multimillionaires playing with their balls.
Oh, that's pretty great.
And that it's astounding. The number one prescribed medicines are antidepressant. I don't think there is such a disease as depression. I think it's a symptom of loneliness. And how is anyone lonely in a world of 7.5 billion? It's almost funny.
Yeah, it really is. That is a fantastic point, and one that I'm going to have to think about because that's interesting. So I have to ask, Patch, how can people here donate to your cause if they want to?
Well, they can donate online. Go to patchadams.org and donate that way. A lot of funds go through the computer from people to buy things. And if you can imagine creating that, your donation creates a hospital that when a patient leaves, they owe nothing. And that the doctors are making the same salary as the cleaning staff, and it isn't a very high salary. It's an adequate living expense. And that where we're building the hospital is already bought, and it's paradise. 3 waterfalls, a 4-acre lake, a mountain of hardwood trees. And that if they've ever complained about being abused in the medical system, here's their chance to show a completely alternative medical system.
Yeah. That is awesome, Patch. So I thank you so much for being here tonight, Patch. I know you're a busy guy. You were just at the store and gone for 40 minutes, Derek told me. And that's quite the long time to be gone at a store.
I'm living.
What?
I'm living. I go to most every day I go to the post office. In the last 2 days, I've mailed 20 letters all over the world. And then I go to the grocery store. Tonight, I went with my sweetheart, Susan, and we shopped for tonight. And, I live an enchanting life.
That's good.
And anyone can, especially if you group up. And the poorer you are, the more sense it means to group up. So that instead of a person spending a lot of money on rent for one person, maybe they're living in a house that could hold 10 people.
That's a great idea.
And it isn't just cheaper living quarters, the food is cheaper. They have to make dinner fewer times, and they always have friends, etc.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I know, like my cousin just moved out with two other roommates, I think, and I think they're having a hoot. So I thank you so much, Pat or Patch. Gosh, I called you Pat. Um, I know you're busy. I appreciate you. And I just want to tell everybody out there that I appreciate you guys. I appreciate all the comments, all the likes, all the viewers. But I need you guys to do me a favor. First of all, I need you to go to patchadams.org and check out his movement and what he is doing. But then I need to tell you that you need to make every second count. Why, you might ask? Because you never know when the seconds are going to run out on your one life. Guys, I'm Jeff Marconette Jr. I'm here every Tuesday with a new guest where we try to help you deal with the things you are possibly dealing with. And until next week, remember, make every second count. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Does that mean our time is up?
Yeah, Patch. Hang. You're having too much fun, Pat.